Hey, Turtle fans, we're going to do a little update here on what we're going to do for the action figures for our Kickstarter campaign. A few people in the campaign have actually asked some questions regarding how the figures are going to look, how they're going to be posed, articulation, stuff like that, whether even we have the capacity or how we're going to make the action figures. So I'm going to give a little update here, and hopefully I will give more updates as we progress through the development during the campaign, because these things are going to change pretty quickly. So the idea in the campaign, if you haven't seen it, is that we're going to do, starting with 3 action figures, a Kevin and Peter for the first time as action figures, and a snot gun guy or Ponto Commando, depending on what we call them. The idea behind these is we're doing retro-style, Playmate-style action figures sculpted by Steve Varner, who was the original TMNT sculptor back in '87. So as you know, some people will notice, in a human figure like Vernon here, they did have this bow-legged, knee-bent thing. They were thicker. The hands were thicker. They're proportioned in a specific way that's classic to that style. With our Kevin and Peter figures specifically, right now they're far more human proportions, right? Their arms and their legs and their head feels more like a modern action figure, more like something you would see out of a NECA or something like that, but in a larger scale. So we're developing this mode a little further on into looking more like this. So you've bulked out all the proportions. And the reason that we did these like this, and actually it's something that came up recently, is we're probably going to be offering very soon in the Kickstarter statues that are larger than this. They're posed in a realistic pose. The two of them, Kevin and Peter, standing back to back on a base, and it'll hopefully be bronze as an option or faux bronze as an option. So that will be an add-on coming soon. So that's the Kevin and Peter figures. The other figures we're working on are this is the figure based on one of the original concepts where all of Shredder's bad guys were going to be human at one point before they became mutant animals. So we're taking out some of those original concepts that Playmates was working on back in '87, and we're basing our designs based on those to try to bring those never before produced action figures to the world. So one of the other questions that people have asked is whether or not we can do this. So a lot of time when you see independent toy companies producing action figures or products, they're going overseas and getting minimum runs in the thousands of parts. We actually don't have to do that. For the past six or so years, we've been developing a toy manufacturing company in our creative space outside of the film studio. We actually have another studio here in Ontario that I'm sitting in right now, which is a design studio and a makerspace studio. We have printers, we have 3D printers, we have injection mold machines, and we're actually developing all of the process to produce these toys here in-house domestically. So that's also part of the process, where because we're doing a very limited run, that's why the price is where it is, because you have to develop all of the tooling, create all the tooling, even though you're only going to maybe produce a few hundred items. So this is an example of very high detail metal tooling that we do. This is actually for a knight here who came out of this mold, and to get this really, really high detail metal tooling to work in injection mold machines is something we actually have developed and are doing here in-house. So hopefully that sort of demonstrates what we can do. Here's also, this is one actually is one of the signed ones. Sorry we didn't have more of those. We kind of made a deal with Peter that he would do X amount signed, and Kevin did X amount signed. So this is actually one of Eastman's signed ones. So this is the card back for the Kevin Eastman figure, done by Ali Espinenzo, and he does the art, and he's fantastic. He does that old school style. And then the Peter one will be the same, but with the Peter information and the Peter cutout bio as well. We will be doing blister packs on those, and including this is kind of cool, including the the weapon sprue, and we're coming up with accessories that are specific Easter eggs kind of for Kevin and Peter, as well as homemade ninja weapons. Peter is photographed back in the 80s in '84 with a wooden katana style sword in the house, so that's there. He's got a broomstick here as a bow staff. He's got a camcorder, which is sideways there, 1986 camera. a comic book for each of them. Now, in this case, I had the turtles as an embossed cover, but I'm actually going to do New Gods as an embossed cover there, which was one of Peter's favorites. A slice of pizza, a Triceratops toy, and on Kevin's weapon sprue, we have another Easter egg, which is the cheese grater, which he put on his forearm when he was doing the dishes, and suggested, what if we had a bad guy with like a cheese grater forearm, and they were going to call him Great Man. His comic book page is The Losers, which is one of his favorite Jack Kirby comics. A lobster, because of course Maine, and he used to work in lobster restaurants. This is going to be difficult to get the look right, but to do a tinfoil Psy, because we actually have photos of them with early cosplayers who had made their own weapons, and you wrap up a Psy in tinfoil. The nunchucks just kind of look like nunchucks. So yeah, they both have weapon sprues that will go with them as well in that Playmate style. So we're super excited to bring these to life. They will be painted. There are gray versions that you can buy as well that are cheaper, and they will be articulated. Now, as another key point here is that the original Playmates had a turning head and the shoulders and the forearms. Now, we're probably not going to be able to do the forearms. We will do the head, the shoulders, and we'll likely do the waist, the swivel of the waist rather than the ball joints in here, because the ball joints is a whole other engineering feat that I'm not sure we'd actually be able to do at this price point, because that is a lot. There's more tooling. You have to do a whole other part that's on the inside. The way that the legs have to be split so the ball joint can be cast and stuff like that. So hopefully people aren't too disappointed, but we'll likely do, I should say, not the swivel of the waist, but more the Ghostbusters style. If you remember those figures where they had a split in the hips so the legs could go into a sitting position, so they would go out in front, which is called all disc joints rather than ball joints. So that'll be the way those are done. Anyway, hopefully this update has got some information and you enjoyed seeing the process of this. These will change kind of as we go. Actually, within this week, we're probably going to see new versions of these sculpts. So I'll come back for a new update at that time.